Hi, everyone. I'm Kathleen Staten. I'm the manager of Music Constructed, and we're thrilled to have you with us today as we look at lesson planning, a topic that we all know is a huge deal towards getting us to where we need to be, our students' success on any given topic. My job here at Music Constructed is to support all of you with the resources and learning that you need to be successful in your classroom, and that's what we're doing here today with the second in a series of 5 sessions with Cheryl Baker, the author of a book, the giver of tons of resources, and your host for today. She has all of her ORF levels. She's been in the classroom for decades, and she is ready to share her knowledge and experience with you today. So thanks for joining us. And Cheryl, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love talking to everybody and helping you all get started on a good footing for the first part of the year. So today we're going to work on lesson planning, and lesson planning can take your entire life. It doesn't have to, but let's hope it does. Can you see my screen now? I did it differently today. All right, so this is the Successful Music Room lesson planning, and I am going to run through from the big picture to the little picture. So hopefully we get enough time to talk about the day-to-day or week-to-week planning time. There are going to be a bunch of files that you will get after today that are accompanying this. It talks about different ways to make your lesson plans, different ways to do your long range plans. So that hopefully will give you some ideas. Obviously, that's my plan, so you should make your own decisions about that. We'll see how that goes. So here we go. Also, just before we even jump in there, that if you have questions or you want to stop me, please, you can use the little button at the bottom that says, I believe it's hiding, the response button. There's a little thing that says that you can raise your hand or whatever, or you can just unmute and say, Cheryl, wait a minute, will you talk about that? I'm happy to do that. So you can interrupt me. I have a friend that always says, I'm a grandmother. You can interrupt me whenever you want, but I'm not a grandmother. I just have cats. So I've been around kids forever and people. So here we go. All right, so here it is. What we're going to study, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the program of studies, or in my district, we call it the POS. Sometimes we have different words for that, but we won't talk about those. Long range planning, quarter or trimester plans, because some people have trimesters, some people have quarters, some people have semesters. I don't know, you might. A unit or monthly planning and the benefits of both, as well as weekly plans and daily plans per grade level. Again, many of those documents, the sample documents, will be coming to you as you get the recording and as you get little notes from Kathleen, so she'll take care of that for you. So first thing, reality check. Who is a beginning music teacher in this room? Are you guys under 5 years? Are you first year in, many years in? Where are we at? You want to pop it in the chat? I'd love to see that. How many years do you have? For me, I'm starting my 39th year. I know that's like, somebody should have told me to retire many years ago, but I'm still having fun. So there you go. 25 for Rachel, 6th year, great. Let's see. Anybody else want to jump in? Jump to the first unread.
I'm starting year 41, but I can't type in my chat for some reason.
Okay, no worries. Year 41. Thank God for you.
I don't know about technology since I'm that old.
Oh, yes, I understand. I'm one of those people too, but I really like technology, so I keep jumping in there. 3rd year, 18. All right, cool. Well, we kind of have the broad spectrum of everybody. Wonderful. All right, so first of all, reality check. Whatever you do with lesson plans, you're going to do the best you can. If you've got stuff and you've been around for a long time, you have tons and tons of things, and that may be the problem, because what do you see? In fact, I don't think that anybody ever knows. I have a secret project I've been working on. I might talk to you guys about it. I have a database of songs that I've been putting into this thing every time I buy a new book. But that's another story. That would help. You should ask me about that later. So you're going to work with what you have. If you've got textbooks and that's what you've got, Music Is You or whatever, the Share the Music things or whatever it is, that's what you're going to use. If you have been around for a while, you probably have some songbooks that you picked up at some conference or something, or that you bought from West Music, because they are the definitive source for everything that we ever need. So whatever you're going to do, then you're going to start from there and then enhance and augment, because whatever you've got is probably enough for now. But then how do we sort through all the millions of things that you have? I have a bookcase that keeps growing, and I keep saying, you don't need to buy any more books. And yet I find some other place to buy it. So if you are at a school that has a good PTA, maybe you can ask them to help you pay for some of the books that you need or want, or make friends with your music teachers in your district and borrow some. Also, there's another good thing to do is to decide what methodology you're going to follow. If you're an ORF person like I am, people have told me if you like ORF, you should stay ORF. But then other people say, no, you should dabble in Kodai as well. Or you should find out about the other things that are in there, Music Play Online, the First Steps, and the Feierabend people, De Croix, a combination of anything that you want. So whatever you chose to do, that's going to be perfect for you. But then you've got to figure out how you're going to fit it in there and when are you going to do it. So there we go. Now, if you go for the program of studies, these are some of the places you can find for the national standards. The NafME has this publication, it's the standards there. And let's see, I don't know if I can jump that in there, but and it will show you exactly what you're supposed to be doing at what grade level, all the way up to 8th grade for the ones for, so it says PK through 8th grade. And that will tell you what they've decided is supposed to be done in the classroom. Now, can you get to that every single year? Maybe not, but you can at least attempt to do that. And you can see that without being a member of NafME. But that would be a good place to go, because then you can see the state standards. We have the Virginia Music Educators Association and the Virginia Elementary Music Educators Association here in my state. And they are working on making sure that you see all the state standards. Of course, in my district, we also have district standards, which are actually more rigorous than the state standards. I know Fairfax County Public Schools are supposedly the best group in the state for that. So we kind of like that kind of thing that's going on. And then you want to talk about long range plans. Once you're into, okay, you see all of this stuff that you're supposed to see, you're supposed to be teaching, then you've got to start asking yourself some questions. Okay, what can you really accomplish in 1 year? What do you want everybody to be able to do by the end of the year? And be thinking that some of these kids, especially the older ones, went through 1 or 2 years of school online. So they may be behind. And you might be looking at 6th graders, but they play like they're in 4th grade. And that's okay. Just take them where they are. So what do you want your students to be able to do by the end of the year? Make a list. What do you have to grade them on? Some places you grade ES and N, some places OS and U, some people ABC, some people like me, I have 4, 3, 2, and 1. So whatever you're having to grade with, that's what you need to do. And then you want to make sure that you know what you want them to be able to do by the end of the year. So for example, kindergarten kids, you want to let them know by the end of the year that they can use their singing voice, not just, and they know the difference between their singing voice and their talking voice. You might put on that you'd like them to sing at least 2 notes, like so and me, but maybe, that's a little bit advanced for your kindergarten kids. And if they just know that they can go high and low then that's perfect for them. And so then once you have that list of what you think you want them to be able to do in all of those different categories, then you're going to break that down by grade level. So what are the kindergartens doing? What are the first grades doing? So on and so forth. And if you have sixth graders, what in the heck are they doing? Because they're fun always. And then you want to decide how you're going to structure each grading period for each grade. Are you going to do it by a unit and have several units per quarter or trimester or whatever your grading period is? Or are you going to break that down by skill? We're going to learn how to sing this 3 weeks, and then we're going to learn how to play instruments while we sing, and then we're going to put some rhythm in there so we know how to do that. And how do we sequence that so that you know that they are going to be able to accomplish it, that skill, when you're ready for them to do it. So if they don't know it yet, then obviously you're going to try and do it and they're going to fail. So you don't want to do that. So it makes them crazy. Okay, long range plans. This is an example of what it looks like. In my district, we have 4 quarters, and we have broken it up into small units. And it says on this overview how many weeks are supposed to go for each one. But we also have the ability, if we're doing like a program, like I'm going to do a program with the 6th graders at the end of the year for their graduation. So they're going to have to work on that for a little while. So maybe during Share What You Know, we're going to be working on those things. You might have to move things around. So we have a little bit of leeway with that. And it's not all just prescribed. I know that classroom teachers, they have to be on a pacing guide. So if they're not in the right place, you know, then they're in trouble somewhere along the line. We don't have that in music. We just make sure that we create musical human beings by the end of the year. All right, so those are a couple of things that you can do with that. So that's just an example. You may have it something, and our curriculum team has been building, all of these are links, and they've been building specific activity lists of stuff that might be good to do. Not everybody uses all of those, because obviously if you've been in there for a long time, you have your own activities that you love to do. But if you don't know anything because you're brand new, there's a good way to start. So when you get into a quarter plan, then let's say you're breaking it down one more set, sequencing is obviously very important. What do they need to know first? What then can they do after they know that? And what can they do after that? So for example, our district, we start with getting to know you. So they're getting to learn how to sing, they're learning how to do things in the music room, they're learning how to be with each other in a community. We're working on community building those relationships, those kinds of things that we want to have in place so that when we do dancing later, they won't freak out because they don't know anybody in the class. Or if you make sure that they know how to sing at the beginning of the year, then they're ready to sing and play rhythms. Then they're able to sing and play the xylophones or whatever, sing and dance, whatever they're doing. So what do they need to do first, second, and whatever to meet the goals that you want them to do? And if you mess up, guess what? You can just tell them, you know what? I think I missed a step. Let me go back and fix that. And we're going to do something else. So kids are resilient and they love it when you make mistakes. They're okay with that. So then you need to think about if your school has all those extra things that they add to us. Do you have to integrate life skills? I had a school that had that. We have a program that's called the Portrait of a Graduate, and it goes through 5 or 6 different skills that people need to have by the time they graduate from school, going into college. That you might have character education, you might have some goal setting, a positivity project where they have to talk about being kind to people and things of that sort. You might need to add in the social, emotional, and learning, that SEL stuff everybody's talking about ever since COVID happened. And I always do growth mindset, but it's not a specific unit, but we talk about that all the way through, like saying, I can't do that yet, but it's the yet rather than I can't do it at all. That's a fixed mindset compared to a growth mindset. So if you need to add those in there, then you need to think about that when you're making your individual lessons. So this is an example of what it might look like to fill in for one quarter. Let's say that the quarter is 8 weeks long, and I have kindergarten through 5th grade. Actually, I have kindergarten through 6th grade, but it wouldn't fit all on the page. And then you would fill in generally what they're supposed to be doing with those things. So finding out some sort of activity that or your specific objective to put in there. This is obviously too small to put everything in there, but you get the basic idea. So for the first beginning of the year, I would teach them all the say hello, we do a little dance, they learn all the procedures and the rules, and we practice the fire drill, all that stuff. Then they're still getting to know each other and practicing the procedures. They start to do some pattern work, then we do some movement things. We might get into instruments, listening, and then have a project the last 2 weeks so I can grade them on whatever. And you're always grading however way it goes. But we're not going to talk about assessment today. So unit or monthly planning, decide the following. What's the theme or the focus for the unit? If it's all singing, then obviously that's cool, but you're going to probably need to add in some extra things so that they aren't bored and they're like, are we never going to touch the instruments? Miss Baker, come on. What skills are they learning? So you might even need to add in to your plans the vocabulary that they're going to learn. So I'm going to learn movement vocabulary. I'm going to learn the language of music during this unit. I'm going to learn what the notes are called and where the notes are on the staff, whatever skill that they're learning. And then if there's special songs, like if you do holiday songs, some people are avoiding those for obvious reasons of the many different kinds of people that we have and cultures that we have in our classroom. You might be doing a multicultural kind of thing, like, the specific month is like Black History Month or the Asian Pacific Islander Month or Hispanic Heritage Month. Any special days that you're having, like in Nevada, they have a Nevada Day. And so then they do the Nevada State Song and they have a costume parade and all that stuff. So that might be partly for you. In grade level programs or a whole school performance, I've done them where it's just the first graders are doing something, or everybody's doing the Christmas program and we're doing holidays or whatever for that. So that unit might be all about that. Children's literature, if you want to connect to that, if you're making classroom connections of what they're learning in their classroom, obviously you have to talk to the classroom teachers so that you know what they're doing. And how long will this unit be? So you're going to do it for 3 weeks, for 4 weeks. I don't suppose a unit would be an 8-week long. It'd probably be smaller than that. Now, here are some suggestions that I came up with, things that I've done or things that you might do. This is thematic units. Some people do it by themes, and it makes it easy. We do one called Music Tells a Story. So we do all kinds of stories with music in them, or we create music that goes with a book that we found. We've got the beat. It's all about rhythm, finding your voice. We're singing, we're figuring out how our voice moves and how to make the voice change. The science of sound was connections to the science of how sounds get to your ears, which was really fun. All kinds of things that you can come up with, millions of different ones. And in the back of my book, there's a whole bunch of lists for programs that you might think about doing. Okay, now we're getting down into weekly plans. Now, the things to consider for here is you need to decide what is the theme or focus for this particular unit, and so therefore for this week. What skills will they learn this week? What do they need to know first, second, and third? Again, the special songs, a grade level performance of the whole thing, literature, and how long will that unit be? Kind of did that already. How long are your classes? This decides on how many things that you can get done in one day. If your class is 30 minutes long and you have to have 5 minutes for them to walk to PE, then you really only have 25 minutes, which means when they walk in the door, it's going to take them 3 to 5 minutes to sit down and get settled, figure out who's here and who's not here, sing a song, and then you're into your lesson. So you probably have 2 or 3 things that you can get done in 30 minutes or 25, because it turns out for that. If you have 45 minutes, then obviously you can do a lot bigger things. If you've got an hour, I have hour-long classes with my upper grades, and we can do computers at that point because there's a lot of time for them to get logged on and handle all the details. And so it works out that way. So you have to think about how long you're going to see your kids for and how many things can they get done realistically within one class time. So how many times do you see each class per week? For me, my schedule is I get to see the kindergarten through second grade 3 times a week for 30 minutes. So then you can build on what you learned the first lesson and then expand into the second lesson, maybe introduce something new, build on the things that you learned in the first 2 lessons, and then add something new so you're ready to do the next week's lessons. For the upper grades, I see them once a week, and some classes who have band and strings, they get to come. If they're not in band and strings, they get to come to me another time, so they get extra time, so they have fun with that. Do you share a class with another teacher? And if you do, then you clearly have to connect with what they're doing in their classroom so that you're not doing the same song. That's happened to me. I sometimes share with one of the other 2 music teachers, general music teachers in my school. And it's like, okay, we're going to learn closet key. And they're like, we did that last week. And I'm like, oh, great. Well, then we're doing it again. And then they get to see my version of it rather than the other teachers. So if you knew that they had done that, then you could build on that, and that'd be a lot easier. The other thing is that you've got to think about how many kids are coming into your class per class. Some schools, they pack them in. In Las Vegas, we used to have classroom, smaller classes, the class size reduction, and there was like up to 20 kids in the little grades, so kindergarten through second grade. But then they said, oh, but music and PE, you can do 2 classes at a time. And so then we had 40 kids possibly in one class, and that was a lot of kids. And if you have a large class, then you can't get everything done that you would have done in a smaller class. In a smaller class, you might get done early, and then what do you do? So you've always got a plan. And then how well does this class follow the directions? If you've been in a school for any length of time, you know that some teachers have a really good hold on their behavior in their class and some do not. And you can't change everything in that class in your classroom as easily as if the kids come from a teacher who has their behavior under control. So that may affect how much you can get done and how well your classes as a whole, like the whole grade level, will progress. And you might have one class that's behind 2 other classes because they just don't listen as well. And that is part of that. Has anybody ever found that to be true in your classes? You put a thumbs up with the reaction buttons or a, oh my God face. You're like, yeah, for sure, that's happened to me. Can you find the reactions button? Should be down there. There you go. Allison's got it. Yeah, you've seen it. Thank you. Should be in there. There you go. Yeah, it always happens for sure. So now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. So the daily plans by a grade level there, and Kathleen, if you could pop in that learn lesson plan into the chat, that would be really helpful. There's this one that the district keeps giving to us. It's called the learn lesson plan. And it's each letter of the learn goes for one part of the lesson plan. And this one is a fillable one that I'm putting in the chat for you guys. if you want to use it. It has a lot of questions in there, but it really, especially if you're new to music teaching, that it'll ask you those important questions of what you need to think about before your kids come in the door. And then you can always think about what kinds of kids are in your classroom. And, you know, if you've got advanced academics type kids, or do you have special ed kids in your class? There's a lot of autistic kids that are coming now into our schools, and you need to plan a little bit differently for how you're going to work with them, what you're going to expect from them. If they're really advanced, you need to give them more stuff to do. If they're a little bit behind or having trouble, then you're going to change your expectations of them based on, you know, what they can and cannot do, planning for their successes. Your plan book, the teacher plan book, is got all these little boxes, and it's done by, you know, like every single day. That never works for me as a music teacher. I just reorganize it and put boxes for my own self, because my one side of the plan book is for the little kids and the other side is for the upper grades, and each box is what I'm going to teach in each lesson for them. So first box is the first lesson, second box is the second lesson, third box is the third lesson. And if I see some classes that I share with somebody else, then I make a whole nother row with those guys in mind and saying, well, I see this kindergarten class 2 classes, but I don't see them the 3rd class. So that tells me what I have to get done. If I'm going to squish what all these other guys did in 3 lessons into 2, or they're just not going to get to do everything. They're going to make sure that you still cover the material, but not tax them, because, you know, some kids just can't do that. And then the big kids, then I have a longer amount for them because I see them for an hour. So we can do a lot of different things, like, okay, so we have this, and then we have our main focus of our lesson, and then we do something on computers, or we're practicing our skills, playing on the instruments, whatever it is that we're doing, or a long dance, whatever. Teachers has a lot of options for lesson plans, and there's a lot of people on Facebook that are telling about different ways to organize your lesson plan book with a whole, you know, the different kinds of things, with just a weekly plan and then a monthly plan, so you can think about what's coming next and things of that sort. So there's a lot of different varieties, and in the files that are coming, those are going to be able to, you're going to be able to look at all the different options that I made. I used to do all of my lesson plans on the computer, and I would put, like, one side would be all the different objectives that I was supposed to do, which is silly. You should, if you're going to do one, you should have one objective per day. Maybe 2 if you're doing 2 different activities. And then I would have all the activities that we're going to do. And I have a box for the materials that I needed to have out and ready. If I had to make papers or things of that sort, or, you know, make copies of things, or I needed to have the tambourines available and the maracas, whatever else I needed to have happen. Okay, and then that's some things that you need to consider to add in there, which I've found some of these things to be really important. You'll really have to pay attention to the pacing. And we're going to do a session next week on behavior and classroom management. And that pacing is one of the ways to solve all of, or nearly all of, your behavior problems. If your pace is good, if you're not getting too bogged down with having to deal with something in the classroom, the kids are going to behave well because they're busy and they're going to be having a fun time. A lot of variety. Kids are bored after 5 or 10 minutes sometimes, and you've kind of got to be the, I'm on the, you know, the stage and I'm going to be so exciting. I had one really hard school that I went to. It was a Title I school. The kids were very streetwise. And the 6th graders would never listen to me. They came at the end of the day, and I had to be super exciting before they would even listen to me. And it was just exhausting. I'm like, okay, you guys just have to listen to this. We figured it out. But that pacing and the variety was really important to them, and something that was interesting for them. The reflection is the thing that I have been adding to my classes a lot. And I finally realized the beauty of that. If you don't allow them to have a chat with somebody, a shoulder partner, or someone behind you, or in a small group, they don't synthesize what they've learned that day. And if they can't talk about what they've learned, it's not in their head. So you need to give them a chance to reflect on it. Say, well, turn to somebody next to you and tell them what you just learned about this culture, about this song. You know, what did you learn about whatever the song is? You know, what did you learn about the Star Spangled Banner? How did it come to be? You know, things of that sort. How did you feel when you listened to In the Hall of the Mountain King? Did it make your heart race? What was going on? That reflection and those questions might need to go on your lesson plan so that you remember what you wanted them to reflect on. And then balance. In every single daily plan, you need to have more than one thing that they're doing. They might all connect to the same standard or objective, but you need to be singing. You need to be doing some movement. You might need to be doing some instruments. You might have something that's specially focused with, you're going to talk to them about something they have to listen to right there. Or you might be playing a game or something like that. You might not hit every single one of those things every single time, because, you know, we'd only have 30 minutes or so with each class. But then you need to make sure that you're getting to those things. Oh my goodness, I can't believe the time is almost over. What? That can't be. All right. Daily plans, best practices, build a predictable routine, teach procedures, be prepared with plan C, plan B, so that in case something falls apart, you know what else to do. Build relationships with your students. That's very important, so that they will trust you and they will sing and perform for you. And discover what your kids can do at the beginning of the year so that you know what they can do, and then build on what they can do, and then build it to what they can't do so they can do more. All right, here's my book. And we're going to have a little giveaway here. I'm so glad that you guys were here today. This book is written for you with all my best secrets of being a music teacher. I have done this for so long. The kids have not changed that much, somewhat, but not so much. And it all comes with a connection to my brand newly fixed up website that has all these and more files that you can have for free. So you don't even have to have the book, but if you have the book, then it makes a lot more sense.
And I'm about to help out one lucky person who is going to get the book. So congratulations to Megan. We'll be reaching out to you and making sure we've got your shipping address so that we can send you a free copy of Cheryl's book. For the rest of you, definitely have a look at her website. And we are also sitting down with Cheryl for 3 more sessions next week to make sure that you can be as prepared as possible for your teaching year, your best teaching year yet. For Music Constructed, we just want to thank you for trusting us with your continued learning and for joining us today. You can always watch these sessions on demand or join us live, and look for an email in your inbox about this session and for all of the resources. I'm sorry, I was even blown away. Cheryl sent the resources over and she said, make sure all of the people who signed up for today's session get these resources. And I said, Cheryl, there's like 12 files here or something. So what a bargain that you get to attend this session for free and benefit from all of Cheryl's learning. If you would like to join us for the next sessions, you can see the link in your chat. Thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again at another Music Constructed learning session. And Cheryl, thank you for sharing your incredible knowledge, and your organized presenting is such a gift to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.